Welcome, dear listeners, and thanks for being here for Thursday Flow, a moment to recharge your mindset and reconnect with yourself. So, today I'm sharing wisdom from Florence Scovel Shinn, one of my favourites, who in 1925 published The Game of Life and How to Play It, thus becoming a New Thought spiritual teacher. So most souls move through life as passengers. They sit as the passenger watching the road twist and turn, watching storms gather on the horizon, watching detours appear without their consent. They look out the window at a life they did not plan, waiting for luck to take the wheel, waiting for another person to steer them towards happiness, waiting for the right time to finally arrive. I know that was me, waiting for the right time on many occasions. But Florence revealed a truth that changes this mode of thinking. The wheel is actually already in your hands. It always has been. You are not a victim of the road. You are not powerless before circumstance. And the declaration that changes the direction of your life, the word that shifts the gears from stagnation into movement, are these: I choose. Such simple and yet such profound words of authority. In our journey together, we have walked through I am. You reclaimed your identity. We've explored I have, and you've opened yourself to receiving. But today we arrive at the moment of command. This is where identity, abundance, and personal power meet. So today we step into I choose. And by the end of this time together, I hope you will understand why these two words may be the most powerful and yet most misunderstood force in human existence. Because most people are choosing all day long without even realizing it. They wake up to the sound of an alarm and immediately choose anxiety, the worries of yesterday. They choose to replay yesterday's argument, yesterday's challenge. They choose to anticipate stress before the day has even begun. And that was me too, choosing to anticipate a negative response from a person I had to deal with. They look at their bank account and choose to see lack instead of possibility. They scroll through someone else's highlight reel and choose comparison. They whisper, "Why me? It's not fair," in the quiet corners of their mind. And most, if not all of this, is done subconsciously, without your permission. My gosh, that was a revelation when I found that. That is, until you choose to take the driving wheel in your hands. It's time to acknowledge that every action, every complaint, every repeated story is a choice. And Florence taught that the subconscious mind is always listening. It does not know whether you are just venting. It does not know whether you are just being realistic. It simply responds as you wish. The problem is not that your life is not working. The problem is that it may be working perfectly according to the unconscious choices you have been making. You've been choosing old stories, choosing old fears, choosing familiar patterns, choosing the path of your past. But here is the beautiful thing. The moment you become aware of the autopilot, the subconscious doing this, the autopilot begins to lose its power. I first discovered this when I was going through the divorce and horrible old negative mind movies were virtually running 24/7. Then I saw the light, so to speak, and slowly things began to change. I took charge. So you do not need the grief and heartache of external circumstances to reclaim your life. You simply need the grit to make an internal decision, a moment where you pause and say, I recognize this old choice and today I choose differently. Florence Scovel Shinn believed we are not passive recipients of fate. She thought that we are co-creators with the divine. She often described life as a game, hence her book. Not a game of chance, but a game of spiritual law. And one of the greatest laws is this: what you consistently choose with your words, your imagination, and your belief, you eventually meet in physical form. Ponder upon that. What you consistently choose with your words, your imagination, and your belief, you eventually meet in physical form. And this can be your subconscious mind. My gosh, wow, it is so powerful. Even though you are not even though you are not yourself thinking you're thinking negative thoughts, it's possibly happening right there deep in your subconscious. It's those thoughts that are continuously being sent out to the universe. And so, of course, that is what is going to be coming back to you. She spoke often of divine design, the idea that there is already a perfect blueprint for your life, a perfect place, a perfect expression of your gifts, a perfect alignment waiting for you. But that design cannot fully emerge through confusion, fear, or victimhood. I choose clears the lens. When you choose, you are no longer wishing from a place of lack. Wishing says, gee, I hope this life gives me something better today. Choosing says, I align myself with this reality now. That's the difference. Choosing is an act of alignment. It is saying to the universe, I've seen the possibilities and I consciously anchor myself here. Florence never taught people to beg for crumbs. She taught them to speak with strength and faith, to cast the burden, to expect guidance, expect the miracles, to prepare for the answer. And she often said, your word is your wand. And when you fully understand that, wow, it's amazing. When you declare, I choose peace, I choose abundance, I choose divine direction, whatever it is you're choosing, even things like, I choose not to buy this right now. And for myself, I'm choosing to rest at this point in time. And for me, the next big awakening was being continually tired, exhausted even. And I found myself telling myself just how exhausted I was, because in reality, my gosh, I was exhausted. And now, I know this stuff. I could not believe it. So I am these days choosing to rest and allow my body to restore. You are not forcing life. You are aligning with it. Now let's go a little bit deeper. There are 3 levels of choosing. And as you listen, be honest with yourself about where you may have been living. Level 1 is reactive choosing, the life of the passenger. At this level, your emotions are dictated entirely by circumstances. If life is smooth, you feel peaceful and all is good in your world. If something goes wrong, the wheel falls off, you feel devastated, defeated. You are constantly reacting to appearances. Florence would say you are allowing the outer world to dictate the inner world. And it's exhausting, absolutely exhausting, because peace becomes dependent on perfection. Now, level 2 is intentional choosing. This is where awareness begins. You catch yourself spiraling and you pause. You say, I recognize that I am choosing worry right now. I'm choosing to think negatively right now, but I want to choose faith instead. I want to flip it. And this level requires consciousness. It requires a pause between stimulus and response. And it's in that pause you begin to reclaim your power. Then we arrive at level 3, sovereign. choosing. This is where transformation happens. At this level, you choose regardless of your circumstances. You choose peace while the storm is still raging. You choose abundance before the evidence appears and despite the evidence of your bank account. You choose hope and direction while the road ahead is still uncertain. Why? Because you understand something profound. Your choice is the cause. Circumstances are often delayed. You no longer wait for the outer world to change before changing your posture. You change your posture first, and the outer world begins to follow. So to help you practice this, I want to give you a simple little tool. And Florence actually calls it the 3-breath reset. Adapt it to your own means. And this is how you move from the passenger's seat into the driver's seat in under a minute. So pause and take a deep breath. Inhale deeply through your nose and hold it gently. Then exhale slowly. And as you breathe out, release the reaction. Release the tension in your shoulders. You can feel it. Release the tightening in your jaw. Feel it. You are not the reaction. You are the observer of it. Breath 2 is where we create space. Inhale again. And as you exhale, let the story fall away. There's no replaying. See that just in this moment, all that you have, all that you are, and just in this moment, you are magnificent. Just this moment, just this space. Breath 3, declare. Breathe in deeply once more. And as you exhale, speak your new choice. I choose. I choose what works for me is to say, I choose to believe that everything always works out for me, that what is mine will always find me. So what do you choose? How are you going to word what it is that you choose? So this is your interrupt button. This is how you stop old patterns from driving your life. Now, there are a few traps people fall into when learning this work. The first is choosing against something. And many people are caught by saying, I choose not to be broke. I choose not to be lonely. I choose not to be whatever it is. But the subconscious still hears broke, lonely. And Florence taught that the subconscious responds to the image and feeling behind the words. So instead of choosing against lack, choose towards what you desire. Choose abundance. Choose loving companionship. Choose vibrant health. Choose freedom. Give your mind a clear blueprint. The second mistake is second guessing your choice. You declare abundance. Then 5 minutes later you say, oh no, not another blessed bill. That's divided energy. When you choose, stay aligned with the choice. Walk with it, speak with it, think from it. Your current circumstances are often yesterday's choices unfolding. Today's choices are tomorrow's reality. And the third mistake is expecting manifestation without action. Choice is the blueprint. Action is the construction. Let me say that again. Choice is the blueprint. Action is the construction. Do what you can now with what you have at this point in time. And sometimes that can be as inexpensive as simple research. But it's action that you are taking. Florence constantly encouraged people to follow divine leads. If you choose health, honour your body. If you choose purpose, take the next step. If you choose growth, answer the opportunity. The universe often responds through nudges, intuition, conversations, books, ideas, and inspired action. And finally, do not choose for other people. You are the sovereign of your own life, not the controller of someone else's. But you can choose how you see them, because we all walk our own path. And we don't get to control others, but we do get to control how we choose to see them. You can choose to hold a vision of their highest self. You can choose peace in the relationship. You can choose compassion instead of resentment. And when you shift, the dynamic around you often shifts too. Now, that might not be a very easy task. It certainly wasn't for me when I was going through the divorce. But with practice, it becomes the norm. You eventually do begin to be able to see what you want to see, the good things in that person. So let me leave you with this. You are not powerless. You are not a victim of your past or your circumstances. You are a sovereign being remembering how to drive or even learning how to drive. Now, this trilogy may be complete, but your life is just beginning. Each day is a new beginning. Together over time, we have explored I am, I have, and now I choose. I choose identity. I choose attendance. Attendance? I choose abundance. I choose authority. The wheel is in your hands. So today, right now, I ask you, what will you choose? Not someday, not when conditions are perfect, not when you feel completely ready. Today, this very moment. And if this message spoke to your spirit, I invite you to make your declaration. Write the words in your diary if you would like, or share them in the comments. After all, we are a community of like-minded souls. Let your soul hear it. Let your mind believe it. Let your life begin to respond to it. And remember, the wheel is in your hands. The road is still unfolding, and it's a beautiful day to drive towards a miracle. Dear listeners, if this resonates with you, please like and subscribe so these messages can reach and inspire others on their journey too. With heart, Margarita.